After a mix of good to mediocre wonder weapons in Black Ops 2, it was up to Black Ops 3 to really wow us with some new ideas and really bring back the wonder in Wonder Weapon. Did it succeed? Well, I guess we'll find out as I explain the lore and abilities behind every wonder weapon in Call of Duty Black Ops 3, beginning with the Apothicon Servant. A grotesque weapon that is actually a living creature. A member of the Apothicon species, as you probably could have put together from its name alone, this being unleashes tears in space-time that send nearby zombies through the rift and presumably into the dark ether. Before even being able to use the Servant, its beholder will need to shove their arm into the creature's, rear end. I imagine it's an unpleasant experience for both parties. To reload the Servant, one must feed it the strange... I don't even know what it is you're feeding it. But once fed, the Apothicon Servant will be able to unleash another rift. It is the best wonder weapon in Black Ops 3 in terms of damage, and it can be upgraded in Revelations. The lore on the weapon is unfortunately never said, but my personal belief is that the corrupted keepers and smaller Apothicon beings would use the weapon to cause further instability in the fabric of space-time, allowing for whatever is sent through to be devoured by the Apothicons in the dark ether, and to hopefully create larger rifts so that more Apothicons can be set free. This is obviously speculative, so take my own thoughts with a grain of salt. Another possibility, which could still work with my previous thought, is that the weapon is not a naturally born creature. In Shadows of Evil, you require a Margwa's heart and tentacle, along with xenomatter found in the parasites or insanity elementals. Perhaps some dark ether rituals bring life to the weapon in the first place, or a crafting bench followed by some knuckle cracking. Despite us knowing it as the Apothicon Servant, it actually goes by 5 other names. Mar Astagwa, which means Shadow Servant, Nar Ulaqua, which means Teeth Consume, Kor Meroth, the Clip Shadow, Lor Zarazor, which means Flow or Radiate and Decay, and Astula Astoth, which means Envy All. Then there's the Pack-a-Punch name for the weapon, which is Estumoth, which translates to Suffering or Sin Change. Apothicon and Keeper Swords. Like the Servant, the Apothicon swords have no told lore, but I think it's safe to assume what it would get used for just by looking at it. Although interestingly enough, inside the egg of the sword is a baby dragon, or worm. In order to acquire the sword, a player must enter beast form and destroy a series of boxes around the map that have the Keeper language inscribed on them, revealing statues. Once that is done, you'll need to unlock access to the swords themselves, which means taking a ride on the tram and memorizing 3 symbols and then shooting those symbols while still in beast form. Then, you must take an egg from the statue and feed it souls until the egg is full. The egg filling is actually referenced on the statue itself via the Apothicon symbols, which translates to Feed Egg, Transform Sword. The sword has basic slashes and a lunge ability similar to the gravity spikes for multiplayer, but with less grace. The name of the sword will differ depending on who is wielding it. For Nero, it's Meroth Zorgwamat, or Shadow Star when translated. Floyd has Shubozor Ulagwa, which translates to Heart Eater. Jackie V's is Ulamargor Zortuk, or Cursed Eye. And finally, Jessica's is Astanar Nethergast, which becomes Skull Gatherer. Not satisfied with your sword's ability and want a little more to it? Well, good news, as there is indeed an upgrade. It's interesting that in order to obtain the Keeper Sword, you must cleanse the Apothicon egg by destroying Margwas that are summoned via the Keeper summoning circles. I suppose you could assume the lore for this weapon is you are removing the Apothecon's very existence from the blade, and cleansing it, restoring it to its original design. This can be supported as the designs of the sword are very similar, with the Apothicon version appearing to have growths or corruptions along the sword, and when retrieving the Keeper Sword, it is initially called the Reborn Keeper Sword. Finally, the egg's name is Arch Ovum, or Archon Ovum. This isn't the first time a Keeper has had Archon related to it, with the boss fight in Dreisendrache being named Keeper Archon internally. Anyway, the Keeper Sword's ability summons other swords that can fight alongside you, while also keeping the basic slashes. It also just looks cooler. Like the Apothicon sword, the name changes depending on its wielder, and forgive my pronunciations. Starting with Jessica, it's called Gualu Lucortan, which translates to Teeth of Fear. Floyd's is the Chrysalite La Am, or Blood and Chaos. Nero's becomes Shaitan Lu Krima Hogora, translated as Transcendent Eclipse. And then finally, Jack has Krilasha Lu Am Kahalit, or the Eye of Eternity. These swords are actually visible in the mural beneath the city. Lil Arnie. Another member of the Apothicon race that has been contained within a glass jar. Don't get any ideas, please. Despite Lil being in the name, the Arnie's true size is shown when the jar is thrown and shattered, unleashing a starving Apothicon that lures in hordes of the dead. Unlike the monkey bomb, the Lil Arnie will cause damage throughout its stay before also exploding and causing damage. So in a sense, this is superior in every way. Just doesn't have a cute hat. Oh my god! Anyway, as for the text that's on the jar, I sadly have no clue what it says. I have tried to translate, and thanks to the help from Spoop on Twitter, I even got a clear look at the texture. But sadly, I just don't know what it says. If any of you can help me out, that would be greatly appreciated. Just like the monkey bomb, in some maps, the Lil Arnie does feature an upgrade. To my knowledge, the only thing gained from the upgrade is it stays on the field longer and has purple liquid instead of green. Annihilator. This weapon has no lore in the universe of zombies. Originating from Black Ops 3's multiplayer with no zombie redesign like the next two weapons, this is just a powerful high-caliber revolver used by the 54 Immortals, such as Seraph. The 54 Immortals, or 54I for short, is a crime syndicate founded in 1894 and is still operational by the year 2064. The weapon in multiplayer can pierce through multiple people and was also featured in the campaign. Its damage in zombies, however, leaves a lot to be desired. According to Jason Blundell, the Annihilator pistol was chosen for the Giant because he felt it fit the map. It would also be featured in some of the Zombies Chronicles maps. Wrath of the Ancients. A bow seen in Dreisendrache that has little to no lore. What we can safely assume is the weapon was used during the Great War by the Apothicons and/or corrupted keepers. Aside from the obvious Apothicon text visible on the weapon which reads as "Consume Blood," the weapon is only obtainable after feeding 3 stone dragon heads. For those who are uninitiated, the dragons have an allegiance with the Apothicons, fighting alongside them in the Great War. So a weapon adorned in Apothicon symbols being gifted to those who feed them makes sense. The bow's arrow has a fire-coated tip, exploding upon impact. It has no special abilities, nor does it have any incredible strength. Also, the Wrath of the Ancients is just a zombies reskinned version of the bow that Outrider uses in Black Ops 3's multiplayer. So, what if it's 4 upgrades? Lightning Bow. Actually known as Krima Am La Am, which means electricity and volatility. This is the best of the 4 bows, and as such is the fan favorite. The bow unfortunately has 0 lore, so I guess I'll move on to its abilities. Or, well, actually, I guess there is lore, but it's purely speculative. In order to obtain this bow, you need to feed souls into 3 jars that have keeper text, then electrify pyres outside of the map. I suppose you're purifying the bow of its Apothicon corruption and making it a weapon fit for a keeper? I don't know. But for its abilities, the bow's standard shot, the Storm Bow, launches an electrified orb that zaps nearby and incoming targets. Even when it's not charged, the Storm Bow can still deal decent damage. But what you're interested in is its charge shot, where the bow unleashes, well, a storm. A spinning tornado with lightning traveling through it, lifting zombies and panzers into the sky and electrocuting them until they're dead. Or in the panzer's case, until it loses charge, though this bow will decimate panzers with ease. Fire Bow. Otherwise known as Kriaho Amnal Amogarik, meaning fall from banishment, collectively referred to as the Fire Bow, is perhaps the lamest of the 4 bows, in my opinion. And it pains me to say this, as someone whose favorite way to dispose of unwanted specimens just so happens to be fire. Just as before, this bow has no lore of any kind, but it does have its name in the Keeper language, as does the other 3 bows. So, like before, I'd say this is a purified Keeper bow. Its regular shot is similar to the Wrath of the Ancients, although it does summon a singular volcano that traps a zombie and melts them in place. When the shot is charged, it will summon multiple volcanoes that will melt an entire horde. Truthfully, you're better off using any of the other bows. Void Bow. There it is, the Kriga Kalitlu Gosata or Decay Portal, or as we all call it, the Void Bow. Despite how strong the Storm Bow is, this is my favorite of the four, and is in my opinion the second best bow of the four. Anyway, unlike the previous, there is some lore with this weapon. To retrieve the bow, you must make a pact with an unknown demon who challenges you by asking its name. To learn its name, which is random by the way, you must find 6 keeper skulls around the castle grounds. Perhaps these keepers are the ones who sealed the demon away? Once the 6 skulls are collected, they will be seen around a summoning circle. Feeding the skulls 6 crawlers will cause the demon to speak out 3 words. These 3 words are needed to know what symbols you'll have to collect to uncover his name. When you input the 3 symbols correctly, he will say that is his name, and provide you with the Void Bow. The lore is obviously ambiguous, but it seems some demon was sealed away but provided its assistance to whomever frees it. Or perhaps these 6 skulls are keepers that sacrifice themselves to become one being? When the bow is shot, it will summon keeper skulls out of a purple portal. These skulls feed off of nearby zombies or even faraway zombies, keeping them in place. While the damage of the weapon is great, this keeping in place thing can screw you over as their hitbox still remains, so be careful if you run towards your stunned horde. When you don't charge your shot, it will release fewer skulls and no portal. Wolf Bow. Finally, a bow with some lore. The Krihololu Krima Salit, which translates to Keeper Servant, or as we all know it, the Wolf Bow, was a creation of the Wolf King who took part in the Great War, a legendary war in the late 1200s that had the Apothicons and Keepers at odds, with the Wolf King and his soldiers fighting to protect their universe. When the battle was long past, the Wolf King grew ill and requested of his loyal servant Arthur to scatter his bones across the castle. Once his task was complete, the Wolf King's wolves never left their master's side, even till their dying breath. This bond between man and wolf created the Wolf Bow. When the bones of the Wolf King are returned to his crypt, the wolf spirit passes on and you are provided the Wolf Bow. When its charge shot is fired, the wolf spirit is unleashed, charging forward and turning a horde of zombies into spirits. The bow is perhaps one of the coolest ones visually, but unfortunately its strength isn't its best quality. Ragnarok DG-4. Based on Ruin's gravity spikes for multiplayer, the Ragnarok DG-4 is a creation of Ultimus Richthofen, while the DG-5 variant in Black Ops 4 is designed by Primus Richthofen. The DG in this weapon makes far more sense than the more iconic DG-2. This is because Die Glock was said to be many things, such as a time machine or an anti-gravity device, which is the one we're interested in. The Ragnarok DG-4 will launch zombies sky high when its user slams downward after jumping a short distance. When the DG-4 is planted into the ground, it generates an anti-gravity field that raises zombies or panzers into the air while causing damage to its victims. This is even used to stun the Archon Keeper boss fight. It was featured again in Revelations and some Zombies Chronicles maps. In Black Ops 4, which altered the way specialist weapons functioned slightly, came with it the Ragnarok DG-5. It kept the abilities of the previous iteration, although now it could conduct electricity around its user, letting them become a walking Tesla coil that zaps, stuns, and kills nearby zombies. Another ability it gained was the ability to revive fallen teammates. When placed down, aside from doing what it already did, the DG-5 will now begin to revive your allies, letting them even keep their perks. This was Aether's way of having the Staff of Ra's revive functionality. KT-4. The Kusanagi no Tsurugi 4, or the KT-4, is a wonder weapon created by Division 9, a Japanese research group that is far more twisted than even Group 935. I've gone in depth on Division 9 in their own video, where I speculated that the KT-4 might not have originally been designed as a weapon, but as a gardening tool. My reasoning is that the KT-4 is essential in a lot of your gardening on this map, where a shot of the KT-4 enhances or mutates the plant you're growing. Of course, this could just be an interesting and initially undesired side effect. Aside from that, the KT-4 is capable of destroying Element 115 infused webbing, providing speed boosts when you shoot nearby spores, and the main one, causing spores and fungi to grow and explode on zombies that you've shot with the weapon. The weapon is upgradable, becoming the Masamune, named after a Japanese swordsmith. The Masamune shoots blue liquid instead of green. Skull of Nan-Sapwe. Named after the Pohnpeian god of thunder and storms, the Skull of Nan-Sapwe appears to have been a special keeper who was worshipped by the locals and protected them from interdimensional threats, such as the Apothicons. It seems one day Nan-Sapwe sacrificed 4 of its loyal followers, using their skulls to empower itself to protect the island. Nan-Sapwe was given a temple beneath a podium that holds the skulls of its loyal followers. With the Skull of Nan-Sapwe, it can vaporize and mesmerize. Mesmerizing zombies, spiders, or thrashers can stun them momentarily as their minds become confused. This same ability can also reveal pathways or missing objects. This ability was essential in Primus' quest to find Takia 1.0. Through some quests, you could also gain a friendly thrasher. The Vaporize ability is a lot simpler in comparison. It simply shatters the minds of those in its gaze, vaporizing them and turning them into pools of blood. I also mentioned this weapon in my Division 9 video. GKZ-45 Mk3. The GKZ-45 Mk3, its full name being the Generator Kyoza-Zavoyski, was a wonder weapon introduced in Black Ops 3's Gorod Krovi. The weapon is referred to as the Raygun Mark III, and for a logical reason. Aside from the obvious Mark III that is featured in the weapon's name, the GKZ was designed to rival the Raygun during the Battle of Stalingrad, as Group 935's weapons and technology was vastly superior than anything the Russians had at the time. To even the playing field, the Russians stole many of 935's weapons, reverse engineering them and developing their own counters. Ascension Group's Dr. Yuri Zavoyski would go on to create the GKZ, inserting his name in the title. The left side of the weapon shot out an orb of yellow energy that slowed down anyone in its vicinity. When combined with the right side of the weapon, which fired single raygun piercing rounds, the result would be an atom dismantler, disintegrating weaker enemies or damaging larger ones. When upgraded, the GKZ-45 Mk3 becomes the Maelstrom of Eris, shooting red rays instead of green. The weapon is pretty dang cool and would actually get referenced in Cold War Zombies via the intel. We learned that during World War II, the Russians planned to develop this weapon, specifically Dr. Zavoyski, but the technology simply wasn't there, so the weapon was scrapped. By 1984, Dr. Kukla created a wonder weapon of his own to prove his intelligence to Dr. Peck. This weapon was inspired by the GKZ-45, this weapon being the Ray K-84. Gauntlet of Siegfried. Named after Siegfried from Germanic mythology, he was a fierce warrior who fought against a dragon named Fafnir. You may recognize that name on Gorod's shield. The Gauntlet is a weapon designed by this dimension's Group 935, allowing its user to charge forward with a powerful punch, unleash a small baby dragon, or call it back to you to use it as a flamethrower. This weapon is my personal favorite of BO3 specialist weapons. When the dragon is free, it will bite zombies and release its fire. It'll also bring power-ups towards you. Sadly, there isn't much else to say. And that is every wonder weapon in Black Ops 3. That leaves us with just one more to cover, as the Dark Ether provides us with a little more lore than the previous games. Or at least it used to. Anyway, with that, I hope to see you guys for the next one. It'll be my 50th lore video, so I'll be giving it to one of the 4 playable characters from the original crew. I hope you enjoy. Bye bye.